Thank you for joining me and Milo, and we just want to let you know we're winding down. These are our last few videos where we'll be releasing every Saturday. And if you want to continue to get videos every Saturday, we'll be launching all the information to join us on our membership platform very soon. So stay tuned and thank you for all of your support on behalf of myself and Michael, who's back behind the camera, and Milo and all the dog treats he gets. We are going to do practice that is somatic yoga with a little bit of yin thrown in at the end and yoga therapy, all for your shoulders. And you will need to have 2 blocks for this practice. So come down onto your back and find a space where you can let your shoulder blades land. The first thing we do is find where are the shoulders. And if you want to just move your arms a little bit, you can roll your arms in and out with your arms at your sides. You'll notice that you're moving from your arms, but the shoulders are responding. You're just turning your arms in and out. So sense where your arms stop and you come into your trunk or your torso. You can take your hands now, touch the collarbones in the front, find those bony landmarks, and feel your shoulder blades from the floor. So we have to let the shoulders feel the ground to heal, to relax. Then I invite you to place your hands somewhere on your chest, maybe on your heart center. Just take 3 to 5 breaths into the chest cavity. And imagine that you're breathing in all the way under the collarbones to the upper lobes of the lungs, and through the shoulder blades and the backside. Just inviting your breath into the shoulder girdle. 2 more rounds of nice breath. If you can, breathe in the nose. You might sigh out the mouth and feel your shoulders sigh. Take a breath in through the nose and sigh the shoulders. Let them go. All right. We're going to create some movement, but we're going to create the movement from the shoulders. So the arms are passive passengers. So the first one, just think of drawing your shoulders up towards your ears. Tighten them as much as you can. And the way you're going to feel it is you're sliding your shoulder blades up towards your ears. You also might think the ends of your collarbones, the outer ends, are turning up into a smile. And just hold that for a few breaths. Don't hold your breath, just hold that. And then release, let them go. Then we're going to feel the shoulder blades, especially the outer edges of the shoulder blades, and we're going to push them into the ground. Or the other way to think of it is lift the back of the heart and lift the front of the heart and push them into the ground for a few breaths. Breathe into the chest. Think of gently squeezing the shoulder blades even towards your spine. So we're taking the shoulder blades through their range of motion. Take one more breath. And then slowly release down. The next one, if you think of your shoulder blades again, feel them on the ground and imagine trying to slide your shoulder blades towards your hips. So you're drawing your armpits towards your waist. And you might feel yourself drawing through the elbows a little bit too, but think of pulling the armpits down and the shoulder blades. You might feel a little stretch through the sides of the neck. So this is depression of the shoulder blades. Keep breathing, squeezing them down. Head and neck relaxed. And then take a breath. Sigh out the mouth, slowly release. The last one we'll do is as if we're lifting the shoulder blades up towards the sky. So I like to think of the outer arm bones or the head of the arm bones as trying to kiss the collarbones. But you could also think of lifting the shoulder blades off the ground and squeeze forward for a few breaths. So you feel the tightness through the chest, through the pectoral muscles. And that's spreading across the shoulder blades. Keep breathing. Maybe you breathe into the back of the lungs now, right into the shoulder blades, the door of the heart. And exhale, slowly release. Place your hands back on your heart and take 3 more rounds of breath, breathing in the nose and sighing your shoulders on the exhale. And just see if you have more of a body map. Your brain knows exactly where your shoulder blades are and your collarbones and the whole circumference of your shoulders. In the nose, out the mouth. And as you're breathing out, the weight of the shoulders just releases into the ground. The ground will hold the bones. All right, we're going to get ready to come up. So as you feel ready, let's take a yawn. Take a big yawn in and notice what happens when you take your yawn. The arms go overhead. You might feel a little arch in your back. So weight coming into the tops of the shoulder blades. Breathe into that big yawn. You can reach for your legs too. Sigh out the mouth. Let it go. We're going to come up to a seated position. You're welcome to roll to one side or rock up. So any seated position that's comfortable for you, I'm going to take one of my two blocks and put it underneath my sits bones, but any position that works. That could include a chair. Sense yourself again from your smiling collarbones. You can even touch them, and your shoulder blades in the back. And feel your left shoulder. Sense your left shoulder. And begin to inhale and press the left shoulder back, or think of sliding the left shoulder blade towards the spine. And exhale, release. We'll just do that a few times as you inhale. Slide the shoulder blade towards the spine, or think of stretching through the collarbone. Exhale, release. And then add the head on. As you do that, you're going to look over the right shoulder. Just turn. Exhale. Release. Let's do 3 more of those. Press that shoulder blade towards the spine. Turn the head. Exhale, release. 1 more. Press back and turn. And release. Now think of your collarbone. And as you breathe in, you're going to bring the collarbone forward. So I'm not using my arm. I'm using my shoulder girdle. Or think of sliding your shoulder blade away from the spine. And what I'm very cautious of is I'm not rotating from the torso. I'm bringing the shoulder forward and releasing, and shoulder forward and releasing. And then we're going to add the head to that one. So now you're going to turn like you're trying to look down at your shoulder. It's very interesting, even at your collarbone. And then release on exhalation. You can even sigh out your mouth. Squeeze and release. Last one. And let go. We're going to add one more part. So we've been moving from the shoulder girdle. We're going to add the arm to make it a little bit juicier. Now as you inhale and draw the shoulder back, you're going to take your arm and externally rotate it. So rotate the upper arm bone away from your heart and then turn and look the other way. And then we're going to switch that. We're going to exhale and internally rotate the arm bone. Bring the shoulder forward and look down at the shoulder. Inhale, open up the front, tighten the upper back. Exhale, open up the upper back, tighten the front. And sometimes it's helpful, I'm keeping my arm really active by spreading my fingers, but if you have the extra block, you could put the block in your hand and think you're passing the block back, try not to look at it, and then bringing it forward. Just take a few more of those and notice, so whenever we work with the shoulder girdle, it's nice because we get into the neck too. So feel the neck and the left shoulder working together. If there's any place you want to stop, like to stretch into the neck, you can do that too. One more round. And then we'll pause. You can set your block down if you're using the block. Just take your palms up. We'll take the magic moment of being still and feel yourself from the fingertips through the arms and all the way into the collarbones and the shoulder blades, right and left. What do you feel in your left side? What do you feel in your right side? Maybe sensing the sides of the neck as well. Just be present in sensation. The sensation when we're still is the gift. Take a breath in your nose. Sigh out your mouth. Let the shoulders relax. We'll do all of that on the other side. So letting the right arm be passive. Feel your right shoulder blade, and as you breathe in, press the shoulder blade towards the spine. So again, I'm not rotating through the waist. I'm thinking shoulder blade, pushing back or smile your collarbone. And exhale, release. And I'm also being careful. I know I could do this with my arm, but I'm trying to keep the arm quiet and think of moving from the bony landmarks of the collarbone and shoulder blade. Slide it back. Tighten, feel that tightening in your upper back, and then release, and then we'll add the head to this. So as you're pushing it back, turn your head to the left. Exhale, let go. Inhale, turn. And exhale, let go. Let's do one more there. And release. So if we can draw the shoulder blade towards the spine, we can also pull it away from the spine or think of squeezing the collarbone. So now as you inhale, squeeze the collarbone, draw the shoulder blade away from the spine. Exhale, release. Again, I'm checking I'm not turning. I'm really locating myself in my shoulder, using those muscles of the shoulder girdle. And we can add the head to that. So as you're squeezing, you can look down at your shoulder. And just like you're sighing, let it go. Squeeze it, look down, feel all those muscles tighten around the collarbone. Feel the space of the upper back. Let go. One more. And let go. We'll add the nice little twirly arm. So now as you're inhaling, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blade towards the spine, but you're also going to externally rotate the arm bone and look away like you don't want to see what's in your hand. And we'll go straight into the other position. So now we're going to internally rotate the arm, look down at the shoulder, feel the muscles in the front tighten and the back stretch. And you can do it with or without the block. So here, but I find that sometimes holding the block just reminds me, it's a reminder to keep we want to think of it like a hose, and there's no kinks in the hose. So we want to keep the arm drawn into the shoulder girdle like it's one piece. And by keeping those muscles a little more active, you'll get more of that feeling by squeezing the block. And you can change the position of the head a little bit. Feel your neck. This is my tighter shoulder, and it's reminding me. Just take a few more of those. And let that go. All right. We'll come off of our stoop here. And we're going to do a little bit more for the shoulder blades on all fours. So if you find that your hands don't want to be on the ground, you can make fists, or you can also take those two blocks and put your forearms on the blocks. Up to you. And the other thing is, if your knees are causing any problem, you can put a blanket underneath your knees, or you can also just double up your mat like that. Okay, so we're coming all fours. And now we're going to think of your heart in the front of your heart. Fill the front of your heart. So I'm not necessarily working on this arch of the pelvis or the tilt of the pelvis. I want to think of my shoulder blades. So I'm going to fill the heart and squeeze the shoulder blades. And then I'm going to exhale, just release. You could sigh out the mouth. So inhale, breathe into the front of the chest under the collarbones and squeeze. And your pelvis may respond and tilt up, kind of like that cow pose. But we're looking at doing this from the shoulders. Squeeze them and release. So this is retraction of the shoulder blades again. Squeeze and release. And you're going to help that squeeze just by breathing into the chest. So think the volume of the chest is helping to collapse the back. Last one. Okay, and now we're going to go the opposite way. So think of those beautiful shoulder blades, and you're going to be sliding them away from your spine and breathing into the backs of the lungs. So breathing in to your upper back. Feel the buoyancy of the upper back float up, and the way the shoulder blades slide away, you might push into your hands a little bit or your forearms. Exhale, sigh and let go. So inhale, breathe into the back of the heart, float it up, spread the shoulder blades. Exhale, just drop. Doing a few more of these. Fill the upper back and slowly let it deflate. Last one. And then let that go. We're going to come off of all fours, come off at the hands for a moment. Take whatever seated position feels best for you once again. I'm going to come back onto my block. We'll just stretch the wrists first after that, so you can take the backs of the hands together. Just let your elbows fall. Just make some little circles. Backs of the hands. You can also do it with your fingers pointing up. Make some little circles. Fingers could be forward. Just stretching your wrists. Ta-da. Okay, we're going to take the block now. We're going to take the blocks. This is getting a little bit more into some active stretching or also engaging the muscles. So we're going to take the block and you're going to hold it with your thumb and index finger to either side. So you're creating two L's with your hands. And then reach out, but plug your arm bones into your shoulders so it'll feel like your shoulder blades slide slightly towards your spine without squeezing them. But you're plugged in. And now as you inhale, press that thumb and index finger side of your hand into the block. You'll notice your arms will engage and begin to start going up just a little at a time. Lift up and breathe out and come back down. So if I'm not active with my muscles, I can go a lot higher, but we want to keep the muscles engaged. It might limit your mobility. That's okay. Squeeze the block. Each time going a little bit higher. If it's there, exhale, come down, release. Keep the neck soft and the jaw. Neck long, so I think of the shoulders might lift a little, but let the tops of the shoulders be soft. Squeeze that block. And you'll know if you're losing your squeezy because as you come up, your elbows will bend out to the sides like this. So stop before those elbows bend, or even think of hugging your inner elbow creases. I call them your smiles right here. Hug those towards one another. And you might turn your upper arm bones outward just a little bit. And then you may get to a space where you want to hold it for just a few breaths. Wherever your end space is, squeeze the block. Breathe in. Fill the chest. Fill the heart. Breathe out. Soften the arms into the shoulders and the shoulders down towards the hips. Relax the head and the neck. This is like down dog arms without all the weight bearing. Breathe into the arms. Breathe into the shoulders. And exhale. Slowly take it down. Before we switch to the next one, just make some nice big circles of both shoulders. Take them around, nice and oozy and gooey. You can go both directions. Milo's sighing. He's like, yeah, that's what I need, right, Milo? And then coming back to the center, we're going to do one more with the block. This time with the block, you're going to take the palms to the block. And not the fingers, not wrapping the fingers, but take the heels of the hands to the block and then push into the block. So once again, the idea is we're creating some steadiness, some muscular action. Then I'm going to draw the elbows to the sides, and I'll turn sideways too. So I'm going to make an L shape with my arms. And I'm going to keep that L shape. And I'm pushing the heels of the hands. I even let my fingers fan off, pushing the heels of the hands in. So I'm very active right now. And that same idea, keeping that shape of the L, start to lift up and watch that your elbows don't try to splay apart. Keep the elbows together. Go as high as you can. You're going to really feel this one in the shoulder blades. And exhale, slowly come down. Or you might take a few breaths to get up as high as you want to go, but push into the block. Keep the muscles active. Hug your inner elbows. The other thing I sometimes see with this one is the turtle head. The neck does this because we're trying to bring the block over the head. But you want to keep the crown of the head high, neck long. Doesn't matter how far the block goes. See where your end point of mobility is when your muscles are active. These beautiful joints. We'll take the last one up. And take a pause there, squeezing the block. So there's poses in yoga like Pinchamayurasana. This is a really good opener for that. Breathe into your armpits, the undersides of the arms, the chest. Pushing into the block, hugging the elbows. See if you can find ease in the sides of the neck, tops of the shoulders. And sometimes your body will gift you by letting you go a little bit further. But remember, if one shoulder is tighter than the other, you have to honor that tighter shoulder. That's how far you go. Don't try to drag it along further than it wants to go. Last breath there. And then release that down. We'll do one more set of shoulder circles and just rolling them around. And then this is just a fun little brain thing you can play with, which is to let one shoulder go one direction and the other go the other direction. It's a little tricky, but it's kind of fun. One shoulder goes one way and the other goes the other way. Or just time them differently, like they're following each other, like you're swimming. You can do the backstroke. So all of this is just meant to let your brain stay on board and feel the movement. We do so much with our arms and shoulders all day that we're not even aware of, right? Like me talking with my hands right now. Okay, we're going to come back down and we're going to go into what we sometimes call puppy pose or anahata asana. And this is going to be a nice way to stretch the arms again. And I'm going to ask you to take the two blocks. You're welcome to take your knees on the blanket or the folded up mat again. I'm actually going to lengthen my mat out a little bit. But put something underneath your knees. You can roll your toes under. We're going to take the blocks out in front of us. And what usually feels better is if you keep your hands slightly wider than your shoulders, you'll have a little more space in the top of the shoulders and around the collarbones, as opposed to having the hands shoulder width. So go a little bit wider. See how that feels. And now this time you are going to wrap your fingers sort of around the front of the blocks. And my wrists are in front of me. You may have to adjust your knees further forward or back. And now I'm going to inhale into the heart and exhale. Draw my hips back towards my heels. I need to go a little further. Inhale, heart floats forward. Exhale. Come down. And think of keeping your head and neck in more of a neutral position and moving from those shoulder blades and collarbones. You can also roll the toes under. So if you're finding you have to bend your elbows a lot, try going even wider. Take those blocks off of your mat. They can go off-roading. If you want a little bit more sauce, bring the blocks closer together. Inhale up. Exhale down. So fill that space, and it's just like you're still sighing. You're exhaling. Letting yourself drop with gravity, not forcing it. Let's take one more up. And you can continue to move if that feels good, or find a space to rest. And if you find that you don't want to be on the blocks, hands could come off the blocks. You could just take your hands to the ground. You might end up taking a block to your head. That's a nice way to support the head if it's not on the ground. So do a position that you can stay here for a few breaths and begin to just slightly soften the head and the arms. You don't have to be as active, just long. And think of the whole circumference of your chest, front of the chest and the back, around the shoulder blades, the back of the heart. And just give that area your breath. So we can get into gently moving the muscles just through our respiration. Your head is heavy, either supported by the ground or one of the blocks. As you breathe in, broaden the space in the upper back. Spread those shoulder blades away from your spine. Notice the backs of the ribs moving. Also feel the space in the front of the heart. This is a version of Anahata Asana, and Anahata is your heart chakra, unstruck, unhurt. Last round of breath. And you can slide your arms off. Slowly come up. Whew, feeling that one. And we're going to finish with just a little bit of movement, and then we're going to do a yin pose that we call Gomukhasana, which is cow face. I always like the arm version of it, not so much the legs. If you know what it is, then you know what I'm talking about. But Gomukhasana is generally when we reach around, and we're going to go with the right arm up first. So if you reach your right arm up and internally rotate the arm bone a little bit, and you'd reach for your upper back somewhere. And just watch that you're not trying to get your head out of the way. And then the lower arm, oh, I just did that backwards. Sorry. The upper arm is externally rotated, and the lower arm you're going to internally rotate. And usually it will, sometimes the fingers touch, but usually it's more down by your waist here. So see where that goes. So we're going to find that position in a moment. But first we're going to take that position, and even if the arm is on your lower back, you're going to exhale, round your spine, bring the elbows forward, and inhale. Open up, bring your heart forward. So just a little like a cat-cow. Your feet can be wherever you want. You're just seated. I like my feet on the ground, but you could also do this like in a Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together. Think of a flower opening. Breathe into the front of the chest and closing. If there's any issue with your hand pressing into your neck, then move your hand more to the outer shoulder here, even if the elbow is not up towards the sky. Take one more movement and exhale down. I'll take that out. Give yourself a big hug with the left arm on top. Nice to hug yourself, right? And just rock a little bit. Whatever seated position you're in, you can keep the legs the same or change them for this next side. So this is my tighter side. So the upper arm is going to go in a little bit left arm, a little bit of external rotation. So think of rolling that arm bone out and then reaching around fingers or palm to the upper back. Right arm, turn the arm bone internally and reach around for your back. So pausing there for a moment. And we may be familiar with restrictions on one side that aren't on the other. That's okay. Breathe in and open those wings up. Draw your elbows back, collarbones and heart forward, and exhale. Elbows forward and round. I get better with my feet here. Inhaling, opening the front body, and exhaling and softening into the back body. And think of your arms like wings, opening your wings and closing your wings. And we do this first in movement 2 to note where do your hands want to and need to be, because that one side, like I said, might be tighter than the other. Do one more. Come out of that. Get to hug ourselves again. Open up your arms. This time cross the right arm on top of the left. Reach around for your shoulder blades and hug yourself and just do a little rock here. Let your neck be free. So we're going to go back to the first version of the Gomukhasana, and we'll be holding this pose for about 2 minutes. So you want to make sure you're not too deep into it, but to a place where you feel you can receive the ground for support. So we'll take the right arm first, externally rotate a little bit, and then touch somewhere around the upper back, the shoulder blade. Maybe it's more up by the shoulder. Internally rotate the left arm, and we find those. And if you want to wait to do the left or the right arm to support yourself as we come down, you can do that too. We're going to take that position. That's my favorite way to do this posture. Any leg position, I'm going to keep my knees bent so my low back is soft, letting the knees fall together. And think your hands are maybe above and below your heart, back of the heart. Breathe into that space, either underneath your hands or between your hands. Breathe into the front of the heart, all the way up under the collarbones. Let the muscles relax. Soften the elbows and the upper arms. If there's any tension in the neck, you can gently rock on the skull from side to side. Just be in this position, breathing into the whole shoulder girdle, front and back of the heart. And every breath out is an invitation to release and relax into the ground. Even the spine, notice if you're holding any tension in your pelvis or hips, the low back. Breathe out. Feel the weight of your body just falling into gravity, everything that's touching the ground. And as we're here for about another minute, notice, are things getting more easeful? Are the sensations moving to different places? Checking to make sure there's no restriction in your breath. Restriction in your breath is restriction in the body. Breathing fully into the heart center. Five more rounds of breath. Breathing in, creating space in the lungs. The lungs, stretch the muscles in the chest and your shoulders. Breathing out, we just land and relax. As we get ready to come out, the easiest way to do that is if your legs are long, place your feet on the ground. You're going to push into your left foot to roll your hips slightly to the right. Slowly slide that left arm down, let it be free. And then roll back onto your hips, push into your right foot, roll to the left. Take that right arm out. And just place your hands right at the base of the ribs. And take a few breaths before we switch sides. Breathing into your whole chest cavity. Filling the space of shoulders, heart. Our shoulders are protectors of the heart, and our hands and arms are an extension of the heart. Just noticing. And then we'll be doing the second side. I find it's easier to come back up to a seated position, but sometimes you can just slide the left arm underneath there and roll over and slide the right arm underneath. But if you want to join me in coming back up, the left arm would go in that little bit of external rotation, and you're reaching somewhere around the left shoulder blade, drawing the elbow up and back. And then right arm is in the internal rotation this time, placing it somewhere. It might be down by your waist, up higher, so this is my tighter side. And letting yourself come down. Slowly, slowly. Whatever leg position lets your hips relax. And you're going to feel that right hand especially underneath your back. Feel where your left hand is, somewhere near your shoulder blade. And imagine breathing between your hands. That's the door of your heart back there. Breathe in the space of the upper spine. and between the shoulder blades. As you breathe out, let the weight of the arm bones just release and relax into the ground. Think of the front of the body, letting go into the back body, and the back body releasing into the earth. If it feels better to breathe in the nose and sigh, you can do that. Letting go of any tension in the neck, gently massaging the base of the skull on the ground. And this position is an invitation to breathe fully into your chest, into your shoulders. Be here for about another minute. Sometimes the body will say you can go a little deeper, taking the arms or fingers closer to one another. Other times it says back off. So just check in with yourself. Is there a dulling of sensation? Is it staying the same? Are you protecting yourself in any way? Do you feel like you're tightening, putting tension in the muscles to try to resist this? This is where you should be at the point where there's no longer resistance. If you do feel resistance, breathe into the heart center and breathe out. Send that prana into the spaces of resistance. Just invite your body to relax. Mention to it, it's got the floor supporting it. And taking your last 3 to 5 breaths. Notice if there's more of a sense of calmness. It might be physically in the posture, but also in your mind, in your emotions. Sense if there's more of a sense of place of spaciousness as well in the chest and the lungs. And then this time to come out, place the feet on the ground, push into your right foot to roll your hips over to the left, and slowly draw that right arm down towards your buttocks and out. And then you can push into your left foot, roll the hips to the right, and take your left arm out. We're going to take a full body yawn, but we're going to clasp the fingers together, turn the hands away from us, the palms of the hands. So you can take your legs into this too, and just reach for a few breaths. Reach both arms overhead. Breathe in and out. And exhale. Let that go. We'll take a few moments just to rest and digest. I invite you to place your hands somewhere on your chest, maybe even with the fingers fanning over your collarbones. Breathing into the upper lobes of the lungs, under the collarbones, the middle lobes of the lungs, and the lower lobes. And just as you can feel the movement underneath your hands in the shoulder girdle, sense the movement in your upper back from the floor. Let the floor give you feedback. How you're breathing, when you're breathing in, when you're breathing out. Front and back of the shoulders. You're welcome to stay here longer. But before we leave, just turn your palms up towards the sky. And think if there's anything you're holding on to that you no longer want to. What are you holding on to? We say our hands are how we bring things to our heart, and we also push things away. We have the ability to let go at any time. So sometimes even just flicking the fingers, flicking the hands, letting go whatever doesn't serve you in your heart. Deep breath in to the chest, sigh out your mouth. Let it go. Take your time if you'd like to roll to one side first and pause there. Thanks, Milo. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, beautiful students. And I do hope to see many of you in our new community. There's also going to be a great community chat, and you'll be able to talk to me anytime through the chat, as well as occasional Zoom meetings. So looking forward to seeing you all. Peace, joy, love, and light.